While it's difficult to explain what attracts a spirit to a place or keeps it from leaving, it doesn't change the fact that it seems to happen. In fact, some historic homes seem to be magnets for paranormal activity, and this raises a question. If soil is bloodied with tragedy, are any structures built atop this land destined to be haunted? We are about to find out. In today's podcast turned ghost hunt, we are exploring Victoria's Black Swan Inn. This is Red Web. Welcome back, Task Force, to another episode of Red Web, the podcast all about unsolved mysteries, true crime, and the unknown. I'm your resident mystery enthusiast, Trevor Collins, and joining me, hearing about the house that we are sitting in right now, my co-host Alfredo Diaz, and the guy in the chair, Christian Young, our producer. How you guys feeling?
Not good.
Instantly, not good.
Nah, not good. You know, I mean, rolled up to the place and right away, I was like, where am I?
You were here first, too.
I was
alone.
here first. That's why I called Christian and said,
Help.
am I in the right place? I see this kind of like rundown home. Luckily, there's livestock in front of it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. Otherwise, I'd be like, treading on property I shouldn't be treading on right now.
Yeah.
You make a good point. If there weren't the geese out there and like
Yes.
evidence of life, you would think you'd rolled up to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house.
Yes. Yep.
That is
Definitely.
until you see this house that we're actually in. This house, gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
Absolutely
Gorgeous.
beautiful.
Victorian.
It's just hidden a little bit behind
Yeah.
the other
It
property
is.
pieces.
And then you have the giant tree out front, which is great.
nice little gazebo.
Nice little gazebo. It's nice with the lights on. We walked up with the lights off carrying stuff, and a little more terrifying. You know, you see the silhouette of the big tree, you hear the rustling of the leaves, and then giant wind chimes just kind of soft.
they're
Massive wind chimes.
Massive.
I'd never seen wind chimes this big.
It's actually really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Think Signs vibes with the wind chimes. And so I was like, yeah, let's get a light on.
Yeah.
Then I had to use the restroom at some point, and you're like, oh, it's just in that bedroom.
Yeah.
Down the hall
just-
to the left.
that
And I went, and I'm like, there's dolls in this room everywhere. And then I go into the bathroom, and it's, the shower tub's got a curtain, and I very much contemplated for the longest time. I stood there and I said, should I just open the curtain? I'm like, that's ridiculous. I shouldn't open the curtain. I'm like, but I think I should open the curtain. And I'm like, no, just don't open the curtain. I didn't. But I'm sitting there in this like old timely bathroom with like the light and everything, the curtain closed literally half a feet behind me. I was like, yeah, I've seen this in a movie somewhere.
Yeah.
I really have.
This is the calm before the haunt.
It is. Yep.
Yeah, this house is really interesting. There's a deep history here. I'm going to walk you through everything that this property has seen even before this house was here. Obviously, this is in San Antonio, Texas, so we're kind of out here. The city is now here, but historically, this was otherwise kind of desert. So a lot happened here. We'll talk about the ancient history, the recent history, and then, of course, the ownership that this house has gone through, some of the remodeling. And then, of course, since we then will turn this into an investigation, Fredo, I feel I have to tell you the common sights, sounds, and experiences that people have seen around this house in certain rooms, in certain buildings. And then, of course, after this podcast episode, come over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/redwebpod, where we will be investigating.
Yep.
And I keep hearing sounds, and I don't know if that's just me.
I've heard several behind us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't help that we're facing a corner of the room. We're in the corner right now. And so behind us, yeah, there you go. Shane, always with us on the ghost hunts. We can't break out the dream team. So behind us is just empty rooms.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't like having my back to it.
No, it is very weird to have the back to the open.
Yeah.
It's not.
When we first did Yorktown, we had the whole dark hallway behind us.
Yes.
Yeah, at least
Shane
this is
remembers.
lit.
Yeah.
That was ballsy.
Yeah,
That was real
at
ballsy.
least we can kind of see back there.
Well, the thing is, I just kept looking into Shane's eyes.
Yep, and his terrified, wide open
Yeah,
eyes.
because if his eyes widen, then I'm diving over the table. You know what I mean? Like, he's my first sign of warning.
Yep.
Yep. Our barometer.
You were freaking me out because that's my fear. Like I just don't
That's
like
true.
wide open spaces right behind me in the dark. My imagination goes wild. And you kept going like taking quick glances to the back, like just, preservation looks like, what's down there? And I'm like, you gotta stop. You're freaking me out.
Trying to catch him in the act. You know? Don't sneak up on me. Don't sneak up on me. I'm too fast.
Fair enough. Catch him in the act of what, though? Disemboweling me as a ghoul?
Yeah. Hand around a corner or something like that. I seen you. And then just bolt out of there.
Yeah. Well, we went there recently. That was our last ghost hunt last year. Once again, we returned for Halloween. This is our second ghost hunt of all the stretch goals from last year's. So without further ado, I mean, there's some stuff I want to talk about happening in Red Web. I mean, a lot. So I'll flash through it, and then we'll dive into the history. How's that feel?
Sounds good.
All right. Task Force, head to redwebpod.com if you want to see behind the scenes stuff, extra stuff from this ghost hunt. We're going to put up static cameras like we did last time. Any uncut footage that you want to check out, go ahead and head over there. Task Force, Trevor from the future jumping in with a little bit of context. So lots of exclusives from this investigation. In fact, this very podcast gets interrupted by a lot of loud banging that we get up and go investigate. That deleted scene is available right now at redwebpod.com. It went up yesterday. As well as today's exclusive will be the static camera from the barn. There's a lot of little things we didn't know that happened until afterwards when we analyzed the footage. So go take a look at that today. Tomorrow, the exclusive on Patreon will be the parlor static camera. So that's where, I don't want to tease anything. I know some stuff. I'm me from the future. But the static camera, uncut, unedited, both of them, that'll be tomorrow. And then on Wednesday is another deleted scene from the investigation from the very beginning. It's kind of it's a little bit of a funny moment, but also maybe a bit of tone setting. We should have heeded this maybe as a warning. I don't know. Let us know. Again, support us directly, redwebpod.com. Get access to those exclusives, and we'll see you over there. Back to me in the past. Also, this Wednesday, we have a research outline coming out. This Friday, we have our break room from last month. It was our Discord live event. We talked about comics, clubs, collections. We teased this very ghost hunt because it happened just a few days ago.
Yeah, clubbing on Valentine's Day was...
You got to hear his story.
Stuff goes down.
Stuff went down.
Stuff goes down.
We're also chipping away at our stretch goals again. And so this year we have Red Web Radio 2. It should be out by the point that you're hearing this episode.
I'm very excited.
So I'm very excited about that. Scary Stories picked up back in March. So much happened in March that we didn't get ahead of. So
March was heavy.
We're kind of promoting things out of a linear timeline here, but go check it all out. It is thanks to your support that it all exists. Now, as we dive into the history, Task Force, take a look at the description if you want to see the sensitive topics, because, of course, it is a haunted house. There will be many. But let me take you back. This goes way back. Talking about 5000 BC. It is believed that from around that time period all the way up to 1000 AD, so a 6,000-year time period, the land here that Victoria's Black Swan Inn sits upon was once home to several Native American tribes. In fact, reportedly, archaeologists have found evidence that multiple different tribes have previously inhabited this territory. Kat did a lot of research on this location and was trying to find other methods to kind of justify these artifacts. We couldn't really find out what artifacts were found, but it has been widely reported that there have been artifacts. I give that caveat because I want to be very careful. You know, there's a stereotype that goes around a lot with Native American burial grounds, and suddenly there's ghost stories. But we have seen enough stories about archaeologists finding, like I said, artifacts that it is worth mentioning in this case. Now, what's interesting is that after this time period, it seems that these Native American groups disappeared before any European settlers would have made their way here to Texas. And the fate of these peoples is unknown. It could have been that they just moved on, that they had infighting and simply moved away from this territory. Some people have theorized that they were wiped out by disease. It's really hard to know, but when artifacts stop at a certain era and you can no longer see them after like the 1000 AD kind of age, it does stand to reason that they must have just moved on, simply.
No longer here.
Yeah. So now we're talking about August of 1842. This was when an invasion happened of Texas from Mexico, and the Mexican army was led by General Adrian Wall. They had 1,600 men, so a decent-sized army. They had a lot of artillery, good training. They also had 200 Cherokee scouts amongst them. And the Texan militia, on the other hand, was quite scrappy. They were pulled together by Colonel Matthew Caldwell and Captain John Hayes. They only had about 220 men, so quite a difference in the two fronts. And although the captain and colonel here knew their odds of winning were nearly impossible simply because of this disparagement in army sizes, they decided to craft a plan. They would send 38 men on horseback because that's the number of fit for fighting horses they had, 38. They would then try to lure the Mexican army into a choke point down by Salado Creek Prairie for an attack. Salado Creek is just across the street from this property, so not far away. In fact, the current property owner, Joanne, encouraged us, if we have time, to be, I think, the first, right, Christian, to actually investigate that area. She's heard a lot of things. It is a pretty dark area. Many people, even in recent history, have died or been murdered just across the street in the river, the creek area.
Yeah, she said there's a bridge right across the street that she is experienced some things, but yeah, really all investigators, she said, have never really had interest in going over there. They've just stuck to the main property over here.
Yeah, I heard some gunshots earlier.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that.
I've never seen a ghoul that had a Glock.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think paranormals be strapped like that.
I don't know about that. Yeah. That's Shane said put that on a t-shirt. Yeah, that's something to actually be feared here.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're going to try to lure this greater army in. It feels very like Sparta, right? 300, where you try to funnel them in so the numbers mean a little bit less. So, the wide numbers become narrowed in the creek. Now, Caldwell thought at most maybe 50 men from the rival army would take the bait, but instead there were 200 Mexican soldiers, 40 Cherokee scouts that were all sent, and they themselves were followed by Wall, who led a legion of 300. So instead of 50 people getting fooled by this plan, 540 individuals of this 1,600 came through. Now, at this point, the militia was able to then ambush the units, and they used guerrilla tactics to kind of get a leg up on their opponent, once again trying to use their small, scrappy numbers to their advantage in this kind of trap. And then on September 18th, 1842, that is the day that officially marks the Battle of Salado. Now, eventually, due to miscalculations on the part of the Mexican army and the vigor of the Texan militia, the fight lasted for 2 days before the Mexican army was actually the one to retreat. The Mexican army lost 80 soldiers by the end of this, and over 60 fallen were left where they were killed here on the property. Now, what's incredible about this particular battle was that only one Texan, Stephen Jett, was the one to lose their lives. So despite this kind of incalculable balance, it was all about strategy in the end. But regardless, that's still 81 souls who lost their lives in a battle here on this property. But this brings us now into the kind of more residential history where we talk about the families that have lived here, and you get into more traditional stories of the ups and downs of these families and how it might have imprinted upon the spiritual activity of the home.
This episode of Red Web is sponsored by Factor. For some, eating healthy isn't a willpower problem, it's a setup problem. Enter Factor. With Factor, you can hit your nutrition goals this season without the planning, grocery runs, or cooking. Factor has meals built around your goals, whether that's weight loss, overall nutrition, or more protein. For things like strength and workout recovery, you can check out Factor's Muscle Pro collection. Factor meals are fresh, never frozen. They offer over 100 rotating weekly meals, including globally inspired flavors like Mediterranean and Asian. So there's always something new to look forward to. I've had the pleasure of having Factor meals, and they are so delicious and so easy to make, especially for somebody like me who tends to be pretty busy during the day or, let's be honest, lazy and doesn't want to prepare an entire meal. Factor gets the job done quick and makes it taste just as good. Head to factormeals.com/redweb50off and use code redweb50off to get 50% off and free daily greens per box with new subscription only while supplies last until September 27th, 2026. See website for more details.
So the Ripstein family purchased the land and built the house after the Civil War. Sebastian Ripstein and his wife, Henriette Ripstein, aka Betsy, were both born in Germany, but they settled here in Texas in 1867. The pair had 5 children: Gustav, Henrietta, Bertha, aka Betty, Ida, and Albert. The family built a stone house barn here on the property, as well as a milking barn that's in the back. That is one of the places that we're going to go check out today. It is one of the, we'll talk about it, but it's also one of the places where spirits get a little bit more active, a little bit more vigorous.
They try to milk us.
They might try to milk you.
It's a milking
I can't
barn.
rule
You
it
said
out.
the ghosts get handy. That's just, what if it's just, we talk about they have that kind of flash, that little repeat. They're stuck in a specific action,
Yeah.
doomed to do it over and over again.
We'll just have to get you down on the ground, kind of like a cow,
Yeah.
and then get you into the position ready,
Yeah.
such that a ghost might go through an echo of its old actions on you.
Say that did happen, right?
Say it did.
I'm on all fours,
Uh-huh.
and then my shirt is getting tugged, right? And that's and then it ends up becoming like hard evidence, and one of that evidence is like people investigating, we have professionals, and then all of a sudden it's like that's the publication of like, let's go surreal. Look at this man getting milked by this invisible ghost in a milk house, and it's.
You never know when real proof of the paranormal is going to come through, and it might just be devastatingly embarrassing to one man.
It could be. And they're like, you were the one that was milked by the ghost.
Hey,
It was me. It's true.
It's Tuggy Shirts, man. How'd you fake that?
Tuggy.
I didn't.
It was just one time. One time.
A man gets down on all fours, gets milked by a ghost, and he can't live it down.
No, it just so happens to be the breakthrough thing that.
That would be perfect.
Fortunate.
Could you be okay with that? Like if this happens and that blows it open for the world knows that ghosts are real, but you will forever be known as the man who proved it by getting milked by a ghost. Would you take that sacrifice?
Yeah. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna start talking to the ghosts here real quick. Just me. Hey, spirits that might be here. We do invite you to touch us. This is part of the thing. Apparently, the spirits here are very active.
Don't say we.
We being Alfredo and I. This is Alfredo. I am I, and he might be interested in a milking. Just putting that out there. Balls
If
in
it's
your
for
court.
the betterment of the world to discover the paranormal, sure, I'll make the sacrifice.
Excellent. Well, as the great Robert De Niro once said in one of his classic movies, "I have nipples, Greg. Can you milk me?"
It all makes sense to the story.
Any of it out of
does. It
context
does.
is insane. But if you listen to what all we just said, it makes perfect
There's
sense.
logic there.
And moms love our show. Sorry, mothers everywhere. Mother's Day's coming up. Get ready for it. Oh, I do have a picture, by the way. If you want to take, it's the fourth one, so it's the last page there for you, Fredo. It is the milking barn. You will see it with your eyes, but this is to brace you.
Oh, no.
They took all the photos at midnight, I feel
They
like.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Helps with the ambience.
It's not like a two-story barn. Like,
No,
it's
no.
not a traditional looking barn.
Yeah.
It looks like a single-floor building, Texas home style.
Yeah.
It's very dark,
It's very dark.
which helps with me not wanting to go here. A place where apparently they get handsy.
They're very active there. One of the spirits is said to be pretty aggressive, but yeah, we'll talk about it. So the Ripsteins built the milking barn and the stone house barn. Now, it's unclear exactly when or why the Ripsteins moved out or the ultimate fate of the family. I did hear a knocking just over there.
You heard that too?
I don't know. We'll tell you, Task Force, when we hear things. I don't know if it'll get picked up on this is a close, sensitive mic, not a room mic.
Probably won't.
Yeah, I definitely heard that. Moving on to 1887, a different German immigrant named Henrik Mahler moved into this very same plot of land. Mahler, intending to start a dairy farm, figured it would make sense, right? There's now the barn and everything, good amount of land, the house to stay in. Purchased the land for $2,200 there in 1887, accounting for inflation, that would be around $75,000 today.
Thank God, because without the inflation, like $2,200.
For a decent-sized property.
Yeah, that's a good size.
Now that's rent.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. So Mahler, his wife, and his children then all ran the dairy farm here, which they called the Bluebonnet Dairy. Bluebonnet, for anybody not native to Texas here, is the state flower. It's a gorgeous little flower. Now, the couple also reportedly had 5 children themselves. Samuel, Louisa, Sarah, a.k.a. Susie. We'll hear more about her in a bit. You also have Daniel and Emma. Now, the farm stayed in the Mahler family until the mid-1930s, though by some reports it was sold in 1941, so a small discrepancy, but this is when it kind of moves into the more modern ownership of this house. But it was around this time that I believe they moved out or sold it, that Mahler's wife passed away, and he passed away just 2 years after that. So it wouldn't have been on property, but it would have been soon after living here. So now in more modern history, the house is purchased by the Holbrooks and the Woods families. So you have Catherine S. Jolene Holbrook and her husband, Joseph John Younger Holbrook. They moved into the property with Mary Blanche Jolene Woods and her husband, Claude B. Woods. So Catherine and Mary were sisters and brought their families together to live on this land. It's pretty big. It's not huge, but it's big enough definitely that multiple families could live on it comfortably and not be in each other's way. Now, they then remodeled extensively, adding the 2 wings to this house. So the room we're in used to be the main base of the home and pretty much the ground floor and only it. And now you might be able to see in the background one of the wings over there and then another wing kind of that way that you'll see when we explore. They added these wings in order to kind of make some room for the growing family. Of course, they still have the bedrooms upstairs. At this point, the home is nicknamed the White Gables. The family purchased the land nearby, extending the property, and they built a second house in 1901, but it later burned down in a fire. This is kind of where the timeline gets a little fuzzy. The details are all there, but we're not certain on actual factual, like what those beats are. But ultimately, some reports state that Mary Woods stayed in the house until she passed away in one of the downstairs bedrooms. I believe, it'd either be just down that hall or just down the one you went to the restroom in or the one I went to the restroom in.
One of us took a trip.
Yeah. So Mary and Claude had a daughter they named Jolene. Jolene Woods then married Hall Street, aka Park, which is the most confusing name I've ever heard. Hall Park Street is a person, not a street. They moved into the Gables entirely, and at that point, the Holbrooks had passed on. However, soon after, things took a turn for the worse for those two, and Jolene died unfortunately of cancer at the young age of 38. Hall then took her death extremely difficultly. Obviously, this was completely out of the blue. They couldn't have expected this, and in his grief, he takes his own life. He was then found deceased on August 5th, 1965, having hanged himself from a bedpost with his belt. Now, at the time, I should say, some in the community speculated that his death was actually a murder rather than a suicide, but officials quickly ruled it as a suicide and the case was closed. Now, after this incident, the property changed hands a few more times, but this then brings us up to today and the current owner, Joanne Rivera, the person who Christian and I talked to and walked around this property with to kind of get a lay of the land. Here's some of the encounters she has had. We're soon to talk about the very popular encounters around the property. So Rivera actually lives here with her children on the residence, and her mother also spent a great amount of time here at the home and passed away in one of the bedrooms after an illness. That bedroom for sure is the one down that hallway over there. So Rivera named the house Victoria's Black Swan Inn in honor of Shakespeare's favorite pub. And so that's where it gets its modern name. Despite it being the White Gables and having all this history, that is the current name of it. And now we are up to 2026 and the many extensive sightings, sounds, smells even of the paranormal here on the property. But before we dive into that, how are we feeling?
I don't know if it's the history of this place or because of the previous ghost hunt, but I'm not confident anymore about the haunt. Last time I went to Yorktown, second time, went there, I was confident. The video's up.
You were very confident. You were antagonizing.
I was antagonizing everything. Now I'm back to base level.
Yeah.
Which is fear.
So when you say you're not confident in the sense of you're not confident in wanting to do it?
Yeah, I mean, some of these hallways, like I said, being in that first room alone with the dolls and the bathroom and everything like that is very unsettling. And then the barn itself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'll try and get brave throughout the night. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, there's a handful of us here. It's not just me. Mm-hmm. So maybe I'll antagonize a little bit and then I just got to not be the slowest one in the group.
Oh, okay. I see how it is. There's a possibility of ditching.
Trip someone. Just a little.
They're narrow hallways. It's hard to pass. So as long as you're somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
So like I said, Christian and I kind of walked around the property. We heard some bumps, saw I don't know. We didn't see much, but like
We've been hearing some things.
we've been hearing some stuff. So immediately the property seems to be awake a little bit. But some of the main hot spots for us to consider for our investigation after this, the dairy barn, of course, Sophie's room, which is going to be down that hallway, and then there's a room called the closet.
That don't sound like a room at all.
It doesn't sound like a room at all. That's just a closet.
That's not like a closet. You lock someone in.
That is a closet. She did take the lock off that closet because,
people lock each other in there.
well, she doesn't want anything to happen, right? So this particular closet, she had some bad encounters in there, some bad energy, and it has since been turned into, what's it called, a psychomantium?
Psychomantium.
Psychomantium is kind of like a room of mirrors, a room dedicated for speaking to the paranormal.
Oh God.
And I forget the name of the movie. It might literally just be mirrors, but there is in that movie like a room. It's like an IMAX theater, one of those dome ones, but it's all mirrors with a chair right in the middle, and it's meant to sit in there in the dark. And in some way, in this one, there's just two mirrors, one in front and in the back, to create this infinite kind of void. It's all painted black.
It's I will say I sat in it to just get a sense of it. Even sitting in the room with the door open with Shane right there, that was an uncomfortable experience. I didn't
He
like
went
doing
straight in and sat.
Brave man.
it. Having to see what it looks like.
You just want to do a little challenge for us.
I don't think so.
My mind would play tricks on me.
All right, let's talk in no particular order. There have been reported sightings across the property, especially down by Salado Creek, of people seeing ghosts. Sometimes of Native Americans. It has been said that sometimes you can hear drums playing down there. People have seen skeletons or apparitions attempting, it seems, to scare children who are trying to fish in the area. And you can try to, a lot of people try to instill some sort of messaging into that, whether it be to scare them off or just because they're, imprinted upon the land for whatever reason, right? We've talked about the theories behind paranormal and spiritual existence. But either way, children have been scared, but we don't know what the ultimate goal is. People have seen, or smelled at least, smoke down by the creek, which is interesting. And some have also reported seeing skeletons, which that's one of the first times I've heard of that. Skeletons walking around. I wonder if they jingle jangle, like a little bit of like a xylophone of bones. That would help, it'd help kind of ease the fear factor a little bit. I would kind of like that, in fact.
I feel like I have confidence against a skeleton.
Yeah.
Like a false confidence.
Oh yeah, there's no sinew.
And there's no sanity to the madness. But if it was a skeleton, but it had like a cloak on, I'm not messing with it.
You know what?
It's like no difference.
I totally understand it, though.
Versus like a naked skeleton.
Naked skeleton?
Yeah.
I'm swinging.
Right.
But like if it's got a cloak, I'm not messing with it.
Right.
I don't know why.
Yeah, no,
right? It adds a different level.
I'm with that. I can completely understand the logic there.
I don't.
Listen, you don't know what's hiding up under a cloak. You can't. When you see a full skeleton, you're like, I go for the knee. You're gonna fall apart. You're gonna crumble.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're just me, but like exposed.
Right.
The cloak, you don't know what's under the cloak.
You don't know what's under the cloak. And you don't know where the knees are.
That's true. It's true.
Importantly.
It's true.
Also, there is a dog on the property named Willow.
Willow.
She's a cute little one. She's got a gurgly Thomas. Or that's what I call the stomach. Sorry. She's got a gurgly stomach. And she's sleeping over there right now. And you kick a skeleton down to the ground. Boom. Dog on the bones.
Oh, that's true.
Neutralized.
That's true.
Yeah.
Mambo combo.
Now, continuing from the creek and talking about the Battle of Salado, many people have reported seeing what feels like reenactments, to the point where they feel like they've been fooled by, maybe is this an actual reenactment of this battle once ago, or is this like an imprint of this, this high energy moment, these lives lost and everything. And usually the people that have reported this have reported then it disappearing almost as soon as they kind of catch it. As soon as they can focus on it, it seems to fade away within seconds. Some have also reported seeing the ghost of a Confederate soldier by the gazebo just down in the front of the property near that giant tree. And that's another interesting place. If we have time, I think we should try to kick by, because Joanne was also saying that the gazebo is a great place for EVP. Right next to that in the grass, there's a train kind of station, or at least train tracks, not too far away, but close enough you can hear the train horn. And she says that often when the train horn sounds, the voices of children can be heard playing around in the yard, almost as if to like ease your concern, to say like, don't worry, it's just a train. So if we have time, we'll head on down there. What'd you hear?
Creek from like the front porch.
From on the deck?
Yeah, from this direction. To my right.
I heard a creek, yeah. It's just the house. It's flexing.
It's true.
What's
Yeah,
flexing?
it's
is
flexing.
It is on
Flexing.
stands. I mean, yeah, you've been walking in this
It's
room and in
settling
the
in.
halls. You
Yeah.
can tell it's not like flush to the ground. You know, it's got that separation
Right.
that the older houses do.
Well, I told you, I mean, it was built in the 1800s. You know, it's bound to be loose and, you know, it's not going to be very square. You know, it's not going to be plumb.
It's true. Very true.
She's going to have a lot of life to breathe.
All things to consider.
Okay, so we took a little break here in the podcast and we went to go figure out what a sound was. We heard a lot of banging over to our left over here.
Consistent banging.
Loud.
Yeah, and full candor, Joanne and her family, or at least some of the family, do live upstairs. And they know when there are investigations, they are respectful, they're quiet, and they have been thus far. And so we thought maybe this was one of them.
Yeah.
And we finally went to go see what the sound was. We went over there. We figured out where in the ceiling it was, in the wing. And I think my heart stopped when I said, well, let me just go outside, maybe see if the lights are on. Maybe somebody's up late because usually by now they're supposed to be asleep. I walk around the porch here. It's a wraparound. As soon as my eyes realize there's no bedroom up there.
Yeah, because that's the extended wing.
It's just roof. So it would be attic space, maybe. But man, it was vigorously shaking and
It was.
It was loud.
Like we
Dude.
stopped. We were still recording, but we
Yeah.
stopped like the episode because we were just like, "Oh, this is going on." and
it
this
was
is
like someone was
distracting.
jumping on the roof.
And we're past the time. So yeah, the Joanne and her family do live upstairs. Some of her family live upstairs. But yeah, again, they know when there are investigations, so they know to be quiet. And we're past the time that they've usually you know,
Yeah.
bedded down for the night. And so there should be no noise coming in from upstairs. And I'm the exact same way. When we rounded the corner, I thought there'd be a second story, and there's no second story at all above that. And I actually went, oh,
Yeah. So Shane grabbed one of these cameras. We went out. I don't know how the audio will sound. It's an onboard mic, but we'll go ahead and pull that as kind of a deleted scene of this episode. So again, redwebpod.com if you want to see some of the behind the scenes extra stuff we've got. That was weird.
That was weird.
And we couldn't even hear it at all from outside, only from what could emanate through the door.
there's a door literally in that hall. Like you and I was standing in the hall, you were outside, and we're separated by one door. I'm hearing it so loud, and you couldn't hear it at all unless you
No.
had your ear against the door.
Yeah.
That
was very
was
strange.
Odd.
They're like a
Super,
critter,
super odd.
right? Like
It would have to be a like healthy sized critter.
Yeah.
I wouldn't write it out. I wouldn't write it out at all.
It's very
But
possible, but yeah.
like
that'd
a
be
possum.
could
They
be
gather.
just
Do they
big old
gather stuff?
possum.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possum. This episode of Red Web is sponsored by BetterHelp. Financial stress affects far more than bank accounts. It can take a serious toll on mental health and relationships. Money worries often bring anxiety, sleep disruption, and even depression, and are one of the leading sources of conflict for couples. Therapy can help unpack your relationship with money, build healthier coping strategies, and help you feel less alone in the process. Therapy is such a useful, helpful skill. It helps you learn positive coping skills, how to set boundaries, and it ultimately empowers you to be the best version of yourself. BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the US. BetterHelp does the initial matching work for you so you can focus on your therapy goals. If you aren't happy with your match, switch to a different therapist at any time from their tailored recommendations. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 6 million people globally. And it works, with an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.7 million client reviews. When life feels overwhelming, therapy can help. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/redweb. That's betterhelp.com/redweb.
So let's see. Very, very quickly, we were talking about the dairy barn. People have seen a figure wearing tank tops. We have seen reports of people looking through the windows. When we were over there, Joanne was talking about there's an effeminate spirit and there's a masculine spirit. People, especially if men and women go into that room together, she has had encounters where something or other kind of separates the men and women, right?
Okay.
A guy will sometimes get scraped to the point where they're like, and then they obviously want to go investigate, so they leave. Or something will happen, something will pop up that basically lures the guys out. Whatever it is, it all feels normal until suddenly the women are left going, wait, it's just us in here now. And she said that that's not uncommon. And so she says that's the room. There's a lot of activity in all these rooms. She says that's the room where you might feel something more like aggressive. And so if you don't want that, you can kind of set your boundaries, and it does seem to respect that. But if you do start antagonizing, she has seen people get ill. It can go south. So I wouldn't. Maybe it's good that you're not as brave this time.
Well, I mean, what does ill mean?
We can find out. Just be brave.
I do have a drive home.
Like throwing up. She said in one encounter, a guy, in fact, there was a paranormal show that did a pilot here, and she said that they got very aggressive, like they were really antagonistic.
Yep.
And I don't know if she saw it or one of them reported seeing it. It felt very theatrical, admittedly. But a lot of these shows can enter in different territories. And ultimately, somebody said they saw like a dark orb arrive, float towards him, and then he felt ill and started throwing up. And so,
damn. Okay.
Who knows? Maybe he had taco madness. He's had some real good tacos, but then they just came up and it didn't agree.
Yeah, that's true. Could be that.
Man, we had some really good tacos before we came. So I'm still kind of thinking about them.
Really good.
Still kind of thinking about them.
I want to join you guys, but I have a dog, so I was like, I gotta leave late.
Yeah. Let's see. Other people have reported seeing a burly German man that haunts the barn. So, hey, big summer blowout. That's sweet. But they believe that this individual would be Sebastian. Some also report that Sebastian haunts the home. Now, I do want to say, as I'm talking about the barn itself, it does seem that none of these spirits really seem to stay in one spot. Certain things might happen in certain spots, but ultimately, a lot of the activity does seem to permeate all of these locations. One of the interesting things here in the barn is one of the popular reports was that an EVP audio was captured of a voice screaming, "Get out." Also, like an effeminate voice will sometimes say, like, he's telling me to leave, or he's done something. Christian, do you remember what she would say?
There was a female voice that was saying something along the lines of, paraphrasing, "I want to leave, he's trying to hurt me," or something like that.
Yes.
And then a male voice would come in and say, "I didn't mean to, I'm sorry."
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah. And in fact, when we were in there, I felt like I heard a breathy whisper say, now that I'm seeing in my notes, say like, "Get out."
No.
And the dog had gone to the back. She would poking around in the very back corner. And that's where I heard it from. So I was like, maybe that's just her panting or her breathing. But as soon as I heard that, she turned, walked around. Instead of meandering, she came right to us, laid down at the entrance, and just kind of waited till we were ready to go.
Number one indicator right here.
We got our paranormal barometer with us.
Yeah. If Willow starts freaking out, we're gone.
Yes, that's a good way to do it.
I've told her she's not allowed to leave my side for the night.
Perfect. Okay, so this next portion here, kind of various spots around the house and the property, but some guests have reported seeing the spirit of who is believed to be the man with the confusing name, Hall Park Street. He is always seen stomping and angry, presumably looking for his wife Jolene. She has been seen on occasion reportedly wearing a long white gown. Now, building on what Joanne said to us, it seems that the long white gown, the woman in white, is often seen down by the gazebo as well. And interestingly, this room down here, Sophie's room, if you go inside and close the door, it is said that oftentimes you will hear stomping going by or approaching the door, sometimes seeming like it's trying to open the door, but never able to do so. Moving on, it is believed that there is the spirit of a little girl that haunts the front yard and the interior of this home. And many believe that this spirit is actually one Sarah Mahler in particular. The inn's website notes that she likes to play and likes to jump on the mattresses. Several have also reported seeing a ghost of Sophie Mahler. Now, I do want to say I've seen Sarah, aka Sophie, but when talking to Joanne, she believes that these two spirits might be different as opposed to one and the same. So it gets a little confusing because I think Sarah was referred to as Sophie and vice versa. But either way, some have reported seeing the ghost of Sophie Mahler, Carl Mahler's daughter, who died in the house in her 80s. Even though she passed in her old age, she is often seen in her child form. She's often seen playing tricks on the guests, lightly pulling hair, singing, laughing. Nothing sinister, negative, thankfully. But Sophie's room in the house is considered to be one of the strongest areas of paranormal activity. And again, that's just down the way, and we will definitely be exploring that. In addition to that, many, including Joanne, have said that in that room, for some reason or another, that's a room where people see a light phenomenon. Almost like they look like laser points. So you'll go inside, you'll close the door, you'll see if you hear the stomping or anything, but then often you'll see little blue pinpoints of light around the room. I don't know if they're orbs necessarily, but just like a light effect. And I know that those windows are blocked, one blocked by a mirror and one blocked by a curtain.
Okay.
So we'll have to see if we see anything
A
there.
lot to test out.
There's a lot to test out. I'm almost done, but there's still a lot. I want to talk about the closet.
Psychomantium.
The psychomantium.
Oof.
Yeah, that's such a hardcore word. So Joanna especially reported feeling this when going into, it was once a closet. There are weddings that happen here at this as a venue, and once when storing away silverware and dishes and things, she was in that closet, kind of in her early days of being here, and she just felt very off. And when she looked up, she said it almost felt like there was a dark void above her, like it kind of went on infinity, and she never really wanted to go in there again. She had a psychic come to the house and kind of look at a few things, and they also said that there's an evil entity or an evil energy in that room. They didn't say much else, but she mustered up courage, went in there, looks up, ceiling with the light, nothing unusual. But since then, they have boldly converted it into the psychomantium, which will be very interesting.
Move. There's that noise again.
Right when I said that too, yeah. But yes, people feel a feeling of dread, unease. It's not exclusive to Sophie's room, but often down at that last room, that last parlor that houses this closet. I don't know if this is paranormal, but when she started talking about it as well, like a black wasp, just like out of nowhere, floated through the air and like landed on her arm.
Didn't sting her.
No, it didn't sting her.
It's like omen type
She was
stuff.
like, please just don't. And she starts blowing on it and it doesn't want to move. And,
oh,
she killed that thing though. It had a big old crunch. I was like, hey, I don't know if that's a good or a bad omen.
And then a second wasp showed up.
Yeah, there was a second one.
But yeah, we checked. The windows were closed too, so I don't know where they were coming from.
I'm
like
sure
a
maybe
little
gaps.
crevice somewhere.
Yeah.
Like we said, it's an old house. It's breathing. It's not flush or plumb with everything.
Mm-hmm. So the legend of this house says that if you sit in the chair in the closet, turn off the light, stare into the mirror, the spirits may just communicate with you directly. But yeah, she says many brave souls have attempted to practice meditation in that room. Not the most peaceful meditation session, of course.
Bad energy.
Hearing voices in that room. She said that she had a doll. Oh, I should have front-loaded this. The Annabelle doll, when it was on a tour, as we kind of talked about, came to San Antonio. We missed it. We just didn't know until it was over. That doll made its way to this house.
Oh.
That doll sat right there. Shane is right next to where that doll was sat.
Yeah, man, that's just bad energy. And then you're kind of just shuffling around. Why are we touring the doll in the first place?
I don't know. Keep it
The
in
animal
its
doll
little
should not have its own tour. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that doll came here because there's another doll that a lot of people kind of gravitated to. And I don't know if it's just because porcelain dolls are freaky, partially that. I think it was a psychic at one point came and immediately saw this doll. And it's actually Joanne's old doll and wanted to talk to it. And they had this back and forth. And there's like EVPs where the doll is responding to him, saying, hey, take a seat. Like, let's chat. And since then, a lot of people wanted to mess with the doll. And so they tried to cleanse the doll and they buried it for 30 days and have since dug it back up. It is down in that parlor. It's in a glass case.
Fantastic.
Its name is Abigail. And they did not let it be in the same room as Annabelle, lest any sort of crossed wires happen.
I mean, if you're going to bring it here at this point, then like, why not go buck wild? If you're gonna, like, you know what I mean? You're driving around with it. Maybe it's like dead silence. It's sitting on the chair in the hotel room in the corner. It was like, like the doll was. And so at that point, go for it. You're already so far deep into it. Yeah.
In for a penny, in for a pound. Well, to button this all up, Joanne had a session in Ghost Adventures with Zach Bagan where they all believed that she was able to accurately communicate with her deceased mother, again, who passed away in, I believe, that bedroom just down there. At least that was her room.
That is where she passed away.
Okay.
She did tell us, yeah.
Gotcha.
And I was going to say one other thing about the doll. She said, Joanne told us that the thing that really kind of caused concern with the doll was in these seances, in these conversations that they were listening to, that the psychic was having. I think she said the psychic's name was Tom or something like that. They asked Abigail, what do you want? And Abigail was saying something along the lines of, I want Tom dead on the ground.
Yeah.
And
I think it was Tim, and then someone had
something.
like chest pains or something like that.
Yes.
Soon after. And I don't know if their name was Tim, but whether you're a believer or a skeptic or somewhere in between, I think they're all very fascinating and definitely something that we will be wrapping the podcast soon to test and investigate with our various tools, our various equipments, and our buff minds. But with that, as we close out, Victoria's Black Swan Inn is regarded one of the most haunted locations in Texas. It's got a rich and tragic tale here. The soil has seen much blood, many deaths, some natural, some less so. But ultimately, because of this very colorful history, it is considered by many to be haunted. But now, like I said, it hosts weddings. Markets, I think they do farmers markets back there, ghost tours. I think around Halloween, they do a paranormal convention here. Because we were going to go here last October, then the convention rolled into town. But yeah, any final thoughts before we wrap the episode, Fredo? How you feeling?
There's a lot of like rich history with this place. And I think this might have the most vivid locations to explore for a ghost hunt that we've seen yet. So.
Yeah. It's also like the first house. We've always done like decrepit, old, big, like industrial buildings.
Yeah.
But like Pennhurst, Yorktown, USS Hornet was unique.
That's very cool.
This will be our first like house.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see how it'll go.
I know. I appreciate the variety of types of locations that we're getting. Like, just as you can see, even in the camera, like this is a beautiful room. It's a beautiful property.
Yeah.
Like Trevor said, it's a wedding venue.
Yeah. And I feel like you could just stay the night, you know? All right. Well, as we come to an end on this episode, I want to shout out a few of our task force members who are going to eat all those nice goodies coming out of this ghost hunt, as well as other sneak peeks, sounds everywhere. We got the dog farting. We got the eaves creaking. But thank you so much to Jordan, our newest task force member as of right now. We also have Wyatt Burns as our buff scientist of the week, and then our squonks, write this down, Zarathustra, Andy Schrock, Gavin Day, and Lo K. Thank you all so much. With that said, Fredo, I'll see you right back here next Monday for yet another mystery and task force. We'll see you all over on the YouTube channel right now, available, our ghost hunt investigation of Victoria's Black Swan Inn. Come hang out, youtube.com/redwebpod.